Hey guys, how are you doing? Quarantine's kind of boring, so here's a video that will entertain you. Welcome to Sketchdump. Sketchdumping is basically drawing whatever you feel like. So I went onto Pinterest and tried to find some references. I found a reference on a guy with 3 thumbnails and one big portrait of him behind it. And I feel like thumbnails is a good start for drawing because you can find shapes within an object and or being. This technique's really good for storyboarding because you can start with something simple and then with the final product you can go more into detail using those thumbnails. And with the Pinterest reference, it's basically what I'm doing for the spread. Sometimes using cross-hatching or lines is a good way to portray shadow on an object or being. It helps with depth for your drawing because there's a good contrast between lights and darks. I guess I like to draw a lot of humans because that's basically all I draw. And the medium that I use most in my sketchbooks is watercolor. As you can see, I'm using watercolor. And not the good ones, just the cheap ones that you get from like the store, a craft store. Alright, don't judge me, but like, if it's a sketch dump, it's not gonna be too serious. Then again, if you really want good content, then I guess you would have to pay the extra amount for good quality mediums. So it's not too essential. So if you just want to get your ideas out there, do whatever. Do whatever feels good for you. So for coloring, doing the normal skin tones is, kind of boring. So this Pinterest reference has a lot of reds, purples, and blues, and I thought that was rather interesting. Gives it a lot of neon vibes for sure, like if you're in a party setting. Also, a lot of TikTokers use like LED lights to have this effect. Yeah, I said TikTok. A lot of people have TikTok here, and I'll name them. Okay, all jokes. That was just a reference. Also, a lot of people have TikTok because of quarantine. But anyway, I decided to darken the tank top, the hair, and the eyebrows with a darker purple because I didn't really see a lot of contrast. Like I said, depth is a pretty good way for the eye to read a painting or drawing. I moved on to plants, and since plants are basically my aesthetic, I had to find a reference. And this one is basically white flowers with ferns and greenery in a little bottle. I totally forgot to paint in the thumbnails, so I'm doing that real quickly. Since they're just thumbnails, there's not going to be a lot of detail, so I used solid colors to fill them in. It's good to keep things simple. Simple is pretty good to read too. It all depends on what you want your audience to see. So back to plants. Found this reference on Pinterest and it was basically a vine plant with white flowers that kind of looked like eggs. Kind of was like weird to look at, but it still looked nice because it was in a wedding setting. Oh, wedding setting. That rhymed. But anyway, so if you really want to be a good artist, you need to draw everything. And I mean everything. Because then if you're versatile, portfolio reviewers will look at your work and say, oh, okay, they have skill. Also a good note, use references, especially real references, because that's how you draw accurately. Practice. That is essential. This is why I'm doing 2 references instead of 1, so I can practice. Repetition of something will definitely get it ingrained into your mind, and this will help with muscle memory. Alright, so on Pinterest, I searched up, you guessed it, 2 references on birds so I can practice on them. I don't know why, but like, swans are so majestic. I just had to, especially if they're flying, like, look. Anyway, I used a light blue for the shadow and a yellowish orange color for the beak and called it done. So aesthetic with plants. So I definitely needed something to fill that little space and I decided to do my own quote. It reads, "The world needs to regrow anew." Basically means I'm kind of over this coronavirus and over this year. Like, bye. Next, I decided to be cheesy in this space, so I said birds of a feather flock together. Did a little feather icon too, but it looks more like a leaf. I tried. Should have used references though. Speaking of references, I used a lemon that was on my table and I drew 3 times so I could fill in that remaining space. Lastly, title and date. Bam. Alright, let's see the final product. Okay. Well, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.